Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the 16 millimeter film crew. I'm Cindy.
And I'm Dale.
You can watch us on YouTube. You can like and comment on our YouTube videos and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can listen to us everywhere podcasts are found at 16 millimeter film crew podcast. And you can visit us on our website at www.16millimeterfilmcrew.com. This week, we watched Conclave, directed by Edward Berger. Cardinal Lawrence is tasked with one of the world's most secretive and ancient events, participating in the selection of a new pope. Surrounded by powerful religious leaders in the halls of the Vatican, he soon uncovers a trail of deep secrets that could shake the very foundation of the Roman Catholic Church. So this film stars Ray Fiennes, Stanley Tucci, John Lithgow, Sergio Castigliotto, and Isabella Rossellini.
Oh.
So, Dill, what were your thoughts on this movie?
I mean, actually now I want to read the book as well, because this movie was based on a book, but like the idea of a political thriller kind of set in like a religious context, I guess, is like I didn't think you could put those two concepts together, but it was done. Thought Ray Fiennes did a wonderful job, same with Stanley Tucci. Um, Yeah, I was not I was expecting this movie to be good, but not as good as what I got.
Yeah, I was really excited about seeing this movie. I remember it just like the trailer just came on when I was watching another movie in the movie theater. I forgot which one it was.
Hmm.
And I was like, whoa, this looks really good. I need
Yeah,
to see this one. And
yeah,
it definitely delivered.
yeah.
So I think one of the things that was like immediately striking to me alongside the cast was the cinematography. I think that
Mhm.
that was kind of the thing that captured me the most. It made me really want to go see this movie. Um, because there's been films about like the papacy that's happened, that's come before it. I remember Two Popes came out a few years ago.
Yeah,
Can't remember anything that happened in that movie other than, two old men talking. But like, I think what you can get into when it comes to like religion, but also like because it takes place in present day,
mm,
there is a lot more, I think, political stuff that kind of comes through in this film. But so that was exciting in terms of like the writing portion, but in terms of just like aesthetics, like just looking at it, it was just every single frame was gorgeous.
yeah,
And I think one of my favorite things is that like, the papal state, it's Italy, like wherever you point the camera is probably going to look good because it's such a beautiful place. But I think that even in the scenes where it wasn't like when they were in like sequestered in their homes or just like how their robes would reflect off of like the marble
yeah,
settings that they were sitting in, just waiting to go in and start voting. Like all of those shots that weren't specifically like, oh, like this looks like a museum, but it
yeah.
just looks like it was just like their day-to-day life. Like it looked so good. And it really, I mean, it added to the tension, like in terms of like the editing, plus the cinematography, like everything just looks so fantastic that it immediately just drew
Yeah.
you in.
Yeah, there was a like I remember like a YouTuber named like Every Frame a Painting or whatever. Like this movie, I think encapsulates that concept. Like I said, everything was visually stunning. Like they went they like people were shocked when they found out that like they were rebuilt. They made sets. Like people don't really make sets anymore. Like usually it's CGI, but that hand craftsmanship, that detail, is beautiful. Like they said, they took some creative license and like the robes, like their vestments was so beautiful. They said they like went for a particular hue used by Pope like cardinals in this certain century for like to be that meticulously in detail where you're like researching the color of their like colors and hues of their garments and try to add to the movie. That's like you can see like a lot of love and care production wise went into this movie.
Yeah, it just looked so good. I didn't know that they had built the set. That's actually, I mean, it makes sense because a lot of the scenes take place like either in the cafeteria or in someone's room or something like that. So like in a weird way, it kind of felt like an indie movie just because like you weren't like going a whole bunch of places. There wasn't like world building or anything like that. Like you were in like a very like maybe a couple of settings for
Hmm.
most of it. But I do think that like how everything was shot, one of my favorite shots is when they're in, I guess, the auditorium with the blue seats, and then
Yeah.
you have that light that kind of just shines down on them, and
Yeah.
everything else is black. Like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
it was so good. Like, I don't know, like those, that's the type of things that get me excited. Like, I don't know why, but like, I don't know. Sometimes you expect to see like great cinematography in like these really big films or like these action movies or whatever. And it's like, no, like great cinematography just in a setting where people are literally just talking. Like
Mhm.
that is how you know that you're onto something. Like who was the
Like,
cinematographer? Oh my God.
yeah. But no, like what the scene I like is the scene after the explosion happens, and then the window,
Mm,
the ceramic, and the light is just streaming through, and the dust is filtering, and you got like, but there's like aura around Ray Fiennes' character while he's on the floor, like that kind of thing is like that's like kind of framing or how painting you would see like in like a museum or something like that, like visually appealing, so beautiful. But on to like the political, like not is it political? It is kind of political, but like you kind of forget how these kind of viewpoints and concepts have really like in are become an everyday life. Like if you've grown up in the church, you know how church politics goes, and to see it drawn out on this level was like it was interesting to watch.
yeah, it's interesting because it's like I think when it comes to the Catholic Church, especially a church that if you're not in it and if you didn't like grow up in it or whatever, it is seen as kind of corrupt.
Mm.
Like and historically, not just like
Oh yeah, yeah,
now.
yeah,
So I was interested to see like how they were gonna deal with some of the topics because it's like, okay, well, we're voting for someone new to be in it. But for me, who's like not that invested in like what happens over there, it was kind of just like, okay, fine. Like I'm here for the performances and I'm here
yeah,
for the cinematography. But I found that like there were certain shots that really, I don't know, it kind of got me in space. I think the visual storytelling is equally as impressive as the writing,
yeah. Hmm.
but I think that there were shots where like people were vaping and like on their phones, and these are priests.
Yeah,
And in my head, it's like you don't really think about that,
yeah,
but like, yeah, I guess like they would be scrolling on their iPhone, like, I don't know, doing
yeah,
whatever, or they would be vaping outside in the courtyard.
yeah,
Like I wouldn't th like you won't think about it, but it's like, yeah, these people have like real lives, even though they have dedicated their lives to the church.
yeah,
And I think this part of the script was like unveiling what these people have been up to
yeah,
over all these years and how very human all of them are.
yeah.
So I thought that was a really interesting way to describe it, but also the priest that comes in, I think he's like the last person to come in, but he's the
Yeah.
Mexican priest.
Yeah, yeah, sorry.
And how they kind of like breadcrumb the stuff that he's been doing. Like you're not really paying attention to him because like there's other people who seem like they are gonna get it.
Of more importance, yeah.
And then his story was so fascinating to me.
Hmm.
And I loved his speech that he gave at the end, but I think that like just the idea that like the person who comes in as the underdog is able to, because of like their real world like lived experience, the fact that I think now he probably wasn't the only one, but like he was the only one mentioned who had actually been like doing work, like actually helping other people, like work that could be, I guess, a little bit political, but really it to me just feels more like philanthropic, like has been in war zones, has been in real like really treacherous areas,
Yeah.
you know, not preaching at people, but literally giving them tangible help
Mm.
um, underneath the umbrella of Catholicism. I thought that was really impressive because to me, that is what Christianity really should be about. So the fact that they had this guy come and he's the one who ends up winning. And then the story after that, I was like, what is going on? But I just felt like I think that it's interesting that like the people who are in these positions have to think about things like homosexuality, have to think about divorce, have to think about like real world things
Hmm.
that the Bible says one thing, but like we're dealing with real people. So how do we square that with things that we're professing, the things that we're preaching?
Hmm.
And I like that Stanley Tucci was like very like progressive, but that progressiveness did not help him out. And except it was the more traditional conservative guy, that sounds familiar, right?
Yeah.
Who was getting more of the votes. Like, and the people who were doing the more undercut, backdoor dealing, messy things were the ones who were getting promoted more.
Yeah.
And so I think that there is like a way to tell the story that's very like, okay, well, it you don't get far unless you dupe the system. Like you have to kind of be a little bit
Manipul
corrupt
Yeah.
in order to win.
Yeah.
But that's not the story that they told. And then they
Yeah.
went a step further when it came to gender, and it was just like unexpected. I think that's what I like about this movie is that it doesn't go in the direction you think it will.
Yeah.
And the little surprises actually make it such a good film because it's like it's speaking directly to you about stuff that we're experiencing every day, but it's giving you a little bit more hopefulness, which is
Yeah.
nice.
Like I like especially like the fact that the Pope who died was had the wherewithal. He was like they're on their deathbed, and then he basically spies on who the yes he's knows who the community views was especially next Pope if he dies, and then he secretly like reveals one of them as like paying bribes for Justin, like almost kind of paying bets. So hey, when this dude dies, vote me for Pope, kind of thing behind the scenes, and then
Mhm.
out of nowhere you got the underdog just coming in as he basically says, I'm firing one person, another cardinal's now all of a sudden promoted, that kind of thing. Like basically he's like, I don't trust any of you guys. So I'm going to create a candidate for you, based on the merits that they have, with the conversation they had based on you know who you are and that kind of stuff right there. So yeah.
Yeah, that's why I really loved this movie. I was just like, wow, I think watching it at this time after this
Yeah.
week
Yeah.
was very like
But on the nose.
it was on the to me it felt kind of like medicine.
Yeah.
Like it felt like a nice, I don't know, maybe a little reminder of like what can happen
Hmm.
because you're dealing with, historic systems that have been, tilted a certain kind of way for many years. But then there's like the seed of hope and the seed of change. And I think that after this week, it is something that I really felt good to watch.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
I need something to take my mind off of everything else. Yeah. Really
But
topical.
also like exactly what's going on, just in like in a different setting. It's very weird. Like as soon as the
Yeah.
bomb went off, I was like,
Hmm.
when did they write this book?
Yeah.
Did they write this last year? No, because like it was very timely, I think
Hmm.
I would say. Like it
Yeah.
came exactly when it needed to.
Yeah. But no,
But yeah, go ahead.
no,
Sorry.
no. Well, you finish your thoughts. Sorry.
I thought you were done. I thought you weren't speaking anymore.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
no, no, no.
Go
You,
ahead. Go ahead. I was gonna say, so how would you recommend this movie to like anybody like to watch?
yeah, I would definitely recommend. I think the pacing is pretty good. I think that like anyone who likes political dramas or just
Yeah.
like dramas overall would enjoy this.
Yeah.
Um, and obviously, like the performances were fantastic by actors who everyone knows. So it's like I think it's a good watch.
Mm.
And oh, I forgot to mention that Isabel Rossellini is my favorite. I love her because because the role of women in the Catholic Church has been it's something that's so interesting to me because it's like they are like volunteering to like do this. Like
Hmm.
like the nuns are like you're volunteering to become nuns. But their role has always been subservient, always been secondary.
Hmm.
Like the fact that they're just there to like cook the food and stuff is like God. But
Yeah.
I but I loved her because she says what she needs to say. She has authority, but like that one scene where she just comes in and she just like gives the receipts and then leaves, I was like,
Yeah.
yes, exactly. Like that's exactly it. And I love that they incorporated women in this movie in a way that I don't think films about this topic usually do.
Yeah.
It's just about the men. And the way that that church works, I guess, especially at that level, is obviously very hierarchical or hierarchical. No, that's not how you. It's
I don't even know how. Anyway.
patriarchy and yeah, and all of that, and all of
Yeah.
that. Because like I'm thinking about, well, another film that does this really well is Doubt. Because
Mm,
Doubt is, I know when Meryl Streep and Philip Seymour Hoffman have this like this that interaction at the towards the end, there is this kind of like he's supposed to be like this very progressive, loving priest
yeah.
who Meryl is like suspecting is like abusing these kids, and it switches like on a dime. Like as soon as he gets like some pushback and is like his credibility and his reputation is being questioned, he's like, "You answer to us." Like, and it's like, "Whoa, I thought you were cool. Oh, no, you're not." Because at the end of the day, this system still is very protective over men and
Mm,
still progresses men despite what they're doing.
mm,
And I feel like in that movie, it's much more from the women's side, which I love. I thought that was such a great way to showcase it. But because this is present day and you still have the same system where women are still very much in the background, and even that scene where the black man is like, she was brought here to hurt me. It's like, you will still have a job, sir. Like I can't. But I just like that women were more incorporated in a more realistic way of like
mm,
they're not going to be able to have a seat at the table, but they come through when it matters. And so there's work that needs to be done over there. I don't know how it's going on, what's going on over there now, but
yeah.
I hope that things are changing. I don't know. Pope Francis seems like, I don't know. He seems like he's trying. I don't really know though. Don't come after me if he's not, because I really don't know.
Yeah.
But from what I can tell, he seems chill. So, but I don't know. It is an interesting thing to have both. I was happy that they showed both that representation of like how gender actually is a huge thing, huge ends up being a huge component in this movie, which is really cool.
Yeah. It's not, I find it amazing how much of society, no matter at what level or where, we're basically controlled by the whims of like old white men. So,
Hmm.
it is what it is. But
Yeah.
yeah, I love the movie. I mean, was interesting no matter what. Wish probably got to see it under better circumstances. So yeah, I
Yeah.
wouldn't pick up on all that, as soon. Like, oh, I can live in blissful ignorance for a couple more years, but it is what it is. And like I said, I thought Benitez's story at the end, that twist in, was really shocking and really timely, and just reinforces as times change, every institutions kind of have to reflect and evolve with the way society is going. So yeah.
Yep.
On to some news. First of all, Quincy Jones passed away, at 91 years old. Like a long historic career. Like a lot of people know him for like the Wiz and Michael Jackson stuff, but he pretty had a long production like career. He did multiple movies as well as composer and stuff like that, which really doesn't get enough credit at all, But
Hmm.
yeah, a long, amazing career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember listening to the Wiz with the Wiz soundtrack so like so many times when I was a kid. Yeah, and yeah, I think the things that he has done, he's worked with so many people, and even like him composing, I think he write We Are the World? He co-wrote it with
Yeah, corroded, I
Lionel
think.
Richie, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's just done so many incredible things and worked with so many incredible people. Like The work that he did with Michael Jackson obviously is legendary, but like how you make him back to back to back hits, like that is
Yeah.
insane talent. And not just not singles, albums, like crazy. It's truly it's just so impressive. And I think because he is a black producer and black composer, he definitely didn't get like the credit he was due
Mhm.
for all the work that he has. I mean, obviously he got a lot of awards and a lot of recognition, obviously. But I just mean like when we talk about the great composers, John Williams and Nick Cedra and so forth, he is not mentioned usually in those
Yeah, senses, yeah.
conversations. So hopefully, as we look back on his life and his legacy, we can incorporate him into those conversations because he definitely deserves to be there.
Yeah. And it was in ways you didn't really recognize until you look back, like now, not just even like film. Like honestly, without him, we kind of would have known like beyond the rapping side, would really know about Will Smith. 'Cause he did produce that show as well. So yeah,
Yep. Yeah, and so in like the biggest news, I guess, of this week, we were talking about the election and voting and stuff. Donald Trump will be our president again for 4 more years.
yeah, yep.
Um, how how are you feeling? How are you processing it? Um, yeah, almost a week
Um,
on.
I'm in a constant state of processing it, which, the only good day I had was Saturday. I don't know, being in that environment somehow, being in church, calmed me down a bit. But for the whole week, even to today, it's still like, fuck, you know, no. And I laugh now because, I'm going to Jamaica for the holidays, and my mom was like hounding me to renew my passport, for it to go. And I was like, I don't want to go. I was like, you need it anyway, just in case stuff happen. And I'm like, yeah, even if something just happens, me being your child is not going to protect me if they would deport everybody. And so now I have to spend $200, and weirdly, I'm going to end up proving her right. So it's, I don't know, I'm still a lot is going on in my head. Like I still can't even adequately put in words to describe how I feel. So
Mhm. Yeah, it's been weird. Um, I went in Tuesday thinking like, you know what? I think this is gonna work out. I think we're gonna be okay. And then as Tuesday night unfolded, it was like,
yeah,
I couldn't sleep at all. I kept waking up, like I was having nightmares. It was awful. So like
yeah,
that was the worst part. Tuesday night into Wednesday morning was the
the
worst.
worst.
Wednesday when I woke up and my friend texted me, um, are you okay?
Yeah, everybody sent their friends sent text messages. I sent mine that too.
And that's when I was like, okay, so
Uh,
yeah, this is happening. I think I've been listening to a lot of people kind of dissect what happened or what didn't happen rather. And what I'm coming away with more than anything is that this was like this was more of a rebuke against the Democrats than it was a win for the Republicans.
yeah.
And I didn't realize, and it made me question a lot about my own political like values, what my leanings. Like I
Hmm.
had to reevaluate, like, okay, where do I actually stand when it comes to these things?
Yeah.
Because I know that for the most part, I think I'm pretty progressive,
Mm.
but also in my head, I was like, well, even though I didn't agree with a couple of things that she was saying and she was doing, I thought, well, do whatever you got to do to win. Like that's kind of my mindset just because of who we were going up against. If we
Yeah.
were going up against, Nikki Haley or some other person, it's like, okay, whatever. Like I'm not afraid that everything is going to absolutely blow up if
Yeah.
this person becomes president. But because it's Trump, it's just like the stakes were so high that it just felt like even though I didn't agree with everything Kamala said, I was just like,
Yeah.
I will support her still.
Yeah.
And now that it's over, it's just kind of like I feel like I am also pretty upset at a lot of the democratic system,
Mm,
a lot of stuff going on over there. I just feel I feel sort of betrayed by them just because it's like even though I am a Democrat, I feel I'm more Bernie than I am Obama, like realistically, but I feel like their their whole push and how they understand things is something that I didn't want to admit, but I think it's true, is that like they're far more right-leaning than I had thought.
mm,
And it kind of everything just became very clear to me in the last couple of days of like what exactly this party stood for. And
mm.
it was not for much that I necessarily agree with or align with.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a lot of soul searching. It's been a lot of, I cried. I definitely did on Wednesday. I
Mm,
was just like, damn, this sucks. Like, this is awful. Um, but I also said, you know something, I'm not gonna let this man steal my joy.
mm.
I'm not gonna let this man ruin my life. Like I will be outside next year and he will not stop me. Like I don't know, like I just had this rebellious like spirit to just be like I hate you and you're gonna burn in hell, but also like I don't want him to like squash whatever I my plans or anything because of how reckless he is. We're all going to suffer regardless, but it's just like it's something I needed to tell myself at
Yeah.
that moment to just like be able to bear it because who knows what he's going to do. I think that's the worst part.
Yeah.
I was telling my therapist that earlier last week. I said the scariest part is that we just don't know.
Yeah.
Like what did he was everything that he said actually going to be true? Like he's actually going to do it, or was he just saying stuff because he's insane? Like nobody knows what's going to really happen, but also we know what's going to happen because they've been telling us what's going to happen. So it's like even if he doesn't do it, will his people still do it? Probably yes.
Yeah.
And then the whole government, House, Senate, all of it's Republican. So it's like no pushback, no guardrails, nothing. That is the scariest portion of this. He can literally do whatever he wants because there's no one stopping him. And people voted for that. Like
Yeah.
people said, I hear everything that you said. I know that you're a criminal. You are an awful person. I still want you in the White House. Like, it's just that says everything right there. It's just like it didn't matter what it was going to happen. People wanted this man. They wanted to be back in 2019 and have a little extra money in their pockets.
Yeah.
Like
Like
that's just where we're at.
I had a long conversation with somebody who voted for them, and it's a person I was like I had no issue. Someone I kind of respected, understood. Um, but they kind of came to the reason of they more or less voting for him was due to like religious beliefs and stuff. And then I was like, dude, if you're using the Bible or whatever your religion you believe as some sort of morality scale, to be a good person, how can you say you agreed and voted with this person? And they were basically saying, well, I'm not voting for like a religious figure to be, in charge of the country. And I was like, if if you're gonna use your religion as a scapegoat to prove why you should vote, and you say it should be used as a barometer of how good a person you are, how can you go good conscience vote for somebody with the history that he has? And that's what like hurt me the most. Like you can't profess to like, oh, Bible says XYZ love, all this stuff, but then you constantly do the opposite of what it teaches you. I don't know. Uh,
Yeah.
so
And it's just it's so messed up because I had a friend who we had to have like a whole conversation about because he wasn't going to vote for the presidency at all.
yeah,
He was just going to vote down ballot
yeah,
and not going to. And I don't know whether he voted or not, what he ended up doing, but I'm like, dude, you are a gay black man in this country. Like, you will be affected by this.
yeah.
And it's like for your friend who was talking about religious stuff, because I think I had a family member who was talking about that also. It's like, okay, so do you not care about, did they not care about you? Or the fact that like your family immigrated here
Yeah.
and like what could happen to them?
Yeah.
It's not, it's like you're thinking about all of these abstract stuff
Yeah.
by someone who does not believe in God. Like
Yeah.
Trump and his people are insane, and the Christianity that they believe in
Yeah.
is not the Christianity that you believe in. So
Yeah.
let's put that straight.
So yeah.
But it's like you didn't even care about the person in your life, like the people who you actually know. I
Yeah.
think that's the most hurtful part. It's like, so that friend, you don't care about me as a woman or my rights? Like, come on. Like it seems so insane to me that people are so self-centered in the decisions because it's like it's not just impacting you, like it's impacting the people who you say that you care about.
Yeah.
That is what is insane
Yeah.
to me.
It's I don't know, and I laugh at the idea of like, you I can like the main joke is Latin people, which they've also voted against along religious lines.
Mm-hmm.
But I told somebody else, I was like, look, let's be honest, anybody Caribbean descent, in Miami, no matter what, if you're not, kind of thinks the same way. They're like, what do you mean? I was like, I had to honestly tell this person, like, look, if we were back in Jamaica or you were back in Jamaica, you would probably still vote that way as well. Because people try to ignore, like, culturally, we are still very conservative due to, how we view religion and stuff like that. So, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this movie, like we said earlier, this movie like super, super timely.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
appropriately, these opinions and stuff might not be coming out, had a different outcome occurred, but yeah, and it also speaks to the fact that these kind of issues within the Democratic Party were always there. Remember, what was it? You had like the Whigs, the Warhawks, like they're always members of a party that don't align with one, but share more views, but are also still like pro like war. Like the issue they were saying was like a bunch of like the people who setting the policy or coming ideas in the Democratic Party aren't like don't 100% think what every Democrat thinks. So like, oh, peace, but also yeah, war. Which ended us getting with George Bush for all those as long as we did. So yeah,
Yeah, I think we all have they definitely have a lot of thinking to do.
yeah,
But yeah, I
yeah,
said I'm gonna switch off a little bit. I have not switched off yet. I've scaled back is what I've done in terms of like how much news I'm taking in.
yeah.
But for the next couple of weeks, I just think I
Look,
need a little break.
this I find it ironic that everybody cannot not talk about it because of how afraid of whatever is going to happen. And I was like, and I look at it funny, like for years as Black people, we hear, oh, slavery was way back when, or that was in the past. And like, but we always can say, look, we can tell roots, there are roots of slavery in every single field in this country, medicine, politics, all that stuff. And so now we're just gonna say, you know what? We've been telling you the problem the whole time, but now you got to live with your consequences. So, I can see why now, scrolling to Twitter or TikTok and Instagram, where a lot of Black women are personally saying, like, yeah, we're done. Like, peace. Y'all can deal. Y'all need to accept what's gonna happen for the 4 years. I already had to, so now y'all got to too and get your shit together for next time. So, yeah.
Hmm. Yep. So let's talk about what we've been watching this week. Dale?
Um, Not much really, after this week. But I've come watched it's a show called Arcane. First episodes of the new season came out. So it doesn't hit the same way the first season did, but then again, I'm only watching 3 episodes. So hopefully after the rest of the episodes come out, it hits the same high points. Yeah, other than that, I gotta catch up on Batman or Penguin. Heard the ending was perfect, so your boy gotta play catch up with that. But honestly, that's really been it. The two things I've watched, honestly.
Yeah. I watched someone react to Arcane, like all of the episodes in the first season.
Hmm.
Um, I'm not into that, like into what is it, anime?
It's not anime, it's just
It's not anime, it's
animation.
just
Animation,
animation.
yeah.
Um, but I can see, but visually it looked so good.
Hmm.
The story, I don't know. It was hard for me to get into. I guess I should have like paid more attention, but I didn't. I did not pay attention. But from what I gathered, it looked pretty cool, and people are very excited that it's back. So like, I hope that goes well. The rest of the episodes hit.
Yeah. Hey, well, man, don't let animation is just a medium, not a genre, man.
I know. I respect it. I respect it.
So, man.
Yeah. I started watching Old Boy because my friend group that I have like a film friend group, whatever. So like we talk about movies and whatever. And this month we were supposed to watch Old Boy and Uptown Girls, but I have already seen Uptown Girls. So I tried to watch Old Boy. I got like maybe 35, 40 minutes in, haven't finished it, but I will finish it because I have questions that need to be answered. But like, it's very iconic and
Which
whatever.
Old Boy,
so
the
like,
original or Spike Lee?
original.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So I'm excited to watch the rest of that. And then I finished watching Disclaimer, the Alfonso Cuarón show. I don't know how I feel about the ending. The ending's a little, but overall, I thought it was a really good show.
I probably need to add it to my list along with Penguin, finish that up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but yeah.
And then finish The Penguin. Oh my God, so good. Honestly, television has been holding it down for me this year. Like the films that have come out this year have been hit or miss, but the television that has come out this year. So yeah, The Penguin is phenomenal. Like it's truly so good. So I heard they might be getting a second season. I don't know, but whether they do or they don't is not that important to me. What's important to me is that we're going to pick up Batman 2 kind of right where we left off with this one, which is extremely exciting. They set it up. So I'm like, okay, I'm ready. I am set. Yeah.
I'm already hearing certain things about how one scene in particular looks. People have been spitballing names. The courtroom, how the courtroom was decorated. Like, oh, the next one is probably going to be about, but it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So when I see it play out in that way, actually, I'll be surprised. So
yeah, no spoilies.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that is it from us this week. We hope that you all are taking care of yourselves. Please be taking care of yourselves.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yes, please be taking care of yourselves. And we hope that you're doing well, as well as you can be.
Yeah.
Make sure to check out all of our social media, support us if you can, and we will see you guys in the next episode. Goodbye.
Au revoir.